Hey there, Live Like Your Nail Color Gals. Do you see your life as a journey? Is your life an adventure? Maybe that sounds a bit too exciting for what feels like a very ordinary life. But newsflash, you are on a journey called life. The question is, would you like to put yourself on a journey to create an extraordinary life worth living? Whoa, you're going to need some special nail color for that, right? Well, maybe or maybe not. The color you have on today might work just fine. What you and I need is a tour guide to show us the steps and stages we can take to put us on the path to an extraordinary life. You know, one that's happy, joyous, and free. Today's gal pal, Linda Hogan, is our tour guide. But first, before we dive into our conversation, have you taken my quiz to determine your nail color persona? I always ask my guests to share their results before we dive in because it's a fun way to get to know them. All you have to do is go to livelikeyournailcolor.com/quiz. Answer a few quick questions, and in your results, discover your specific nail color persona. There are 5, your built-in strengths, and how to tap into those strengths when chip happens. Again, go to livelikeyournailcolor.com/quiz. Now let's get talking with Linda.
Tired of so much chip happening? Discouraged by so much downer news? Weary from chronic crisis? Don't let the chips keep you down. Welcome to the Live Like Your Nail Color podcast, where the tips of your fingers and toes are ready to inspire you to not give up and to keep creating the business, career, and life you want. In each episode, we flip the chip and let our fun nail color with that crazy fun name cheer us on to remember our strengths, embrace the power of choice, see life as an adventure, and know resilience is only a touch-up or change-up away. Get ready for a good time and a good laugh with your host, Mary Foley.
Welcome back, Live Like Your Nail Color Gals. Do you have an incessant urge to become more of who you truly are, to start a new chapter of life? Are you getting a quiet nudge to fulfill a dream? If so, you're going to love today's episode where you can start to envision your new you, your extraordinary life, and the path it takes to get there. To help us is today's gal pal, Linda Hogan. Linda is the author of Envision Your Extraordinary Life, Living Happy, Joyous, and Free. And I got to say, I love that title. She has trained at Fortune 100 companies in the U.S. and Europe and has coached individuals to create and implement a compelling vision for success. On the personal side, she enjoys traveling in search of scenic beauty, laughing with her 2 daughters, drinking fabulously strong coffee, and enjoying all the extraordinary meals with her chef husband, Bill. And I'm telling you, that last part, I have a Bill in my life too, and he's a chef and now husband. We just got married last week. Who knew?
Congratulations.
Now everybody does. Okay. Linda, though, welcome to the Live Like Your Nail Color podcast.
Thank you, Mary. It's great to be here.
I'm so glad that you're here too. We're going to have an extraordinary episode, don't you think?
I think so.
Okay, good. Let's dive right in. You know, before the podcast, I asked you to take the What's Your Nail Color Persona quiz. I asked all my guests to do this. So now we have the big reveal. What is your nail color persona and did it nail you?
Mary, my nail color persona is Naked Nelly.
Oh, here we go.
And yes, it nailed me. I like to be authentic. I think that's what you said about it.
Yeah, that's a big part.
Yes.
And and have the courage to show that authenticity to the world, because why? Your naked fingers are out there all the time. People can see them, can see them on Zoom. They can see them in person. I mean, they're right there, So that's great. I love that.
It's a great quiz.
So when it came to your favorite color, obviously it's nude.
It is. It is.
Right. And it has a lot of the same attributes. That's great. So was there anything else about, in addition to authenticity, that really resonated with you about being a Naked Nelly?
I don't think so. I have a question, though. I do like to put a little shiny nail strengthener on it. So What does that mean?
Well,
like a little extra strength.
That's right. A little extra strength never hurt anyone, right? I mean, and so there's a practical aspect to that, which is Some people just have genetically thinner nails, or they may have some other nutrition things that impact their nails. Okay. But so that's part of the practical. The other part is always like, what meaning can we attach to that? And I like to think of that as, well, that means that sometimes in some areas of our life, we need some third party thing or person to give us that extra strength, to give us that boost. We don't do it all alone in our best self. And
that's right. And I'm not afraid to ask for support.
Yeah, there you go. So we can strengthen one another, but we do have to ask, and you do have to reach for that bottle of the strengthener, right? I love that it's clear that all those strengtheners are clear. But there may be a cloudy one, I don't know. So I won't say that is the universal statement. Everyone I've seen is clear, but I love that because it's not a strengthener to try and cover up anything. It's still showing your authentic naked nails. You see, and I think that's also true for anyone we ask help from, that it doesn't become about them or try to cover anything up. It just says it's still about how we can get strengthened and our strengths, our aspects get to shine through. That might be way more than is really ever intended by any manufacturer, of these nail strengtheners. Just saying.
Well, I love what you said.
All right, cool.
It's
Excellent.
True. It's all true.
Okay. Well, and authenticity is so hugely important, particularly if we're looking at someone like you who's towards you for a trusted advisor, trying to get some wisdom and some understanding. So I want to dive into some of the aspects of what you really shared in your book. I mean, your book and your work with individuals and groups focuses on envisioning and creating an extraordinary life, just like the title of your book. And, we're about to start a new year, right? 2023. An extraordinary 2023 sounds really good to me. What's really the difference then between having a life and having an extraordinary life?
Well, I remember, Mary, someone once asked someone else, how many years of experience do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And the person said, I have 5 years. And this happened to be in sales experience. And the other person asked, was it 5 years of the same, or was it 5 different growing years? And so I think of an ordinary life as sometimes it's the same thing. We get disrupted, interrupted, bogged down by the urgency of the moment. And especially these days with COVID, with the economy, people leaving their jobs, people are struggling. And I would say an extraordinary life is one where the person really takes charge and makes a choice to go down a different path, to really listen to that inner prompting, that still small voice of dreams to pursue. A lot of the people that I've worked with, Mary, had dreams when they were children of what they wanted to be, who they wanted to become. But over the years, those ideas just got dimmer and dimmer. And so with an extraordinary life, we really listen to those and embrace those ideas and pursue them. We have an intention to live that life, to pursue our dreams. And people with an extraordinary life live a life of joy and wonder. Everything is new and fresh, and we have a long-term vision of who we want to become, what we want to be doing, and magic happens. People and opportunities appear. People and opportunities that are going to help us to achieve our dreams and achieve our goals just happen to be there in front of us. We can see these opportunities. And so that's an extraordinary life. So I'm not talking about, running 50 marathons, although that's a good goal. I'm not talking about being a multimillionaire. Um, we might want to make more money. We might want, but people want to be happy, joyous, and free. People want to become their ideal selves. That person who is the world is waiting for, that person that you are, that no one can take your place.
I love that because it's attainable therefore for everyone. And it's, we think of extraordinary life. It's easy to go to the big material possessions or the wealth or these external things that you go, oh, they have a big house, or they're going on all these vacations, or fill in the blank, right? You could say your book has come out this year, be a New York Times bestseller. But in fact, all the things you just described are really about an internal feeling and an internal experience that, shows up with others. Because even you're saying extraordinary life looks like joy and wonder, new and fresh, long-term vision, dreams are alive. We've all know people like that. Like we can tell with that extraordinary life, it feels, I love that. Well, you had mentioned about how as kids, young kids in particular, we have these dreams, we have these imaginations, right? And then even perhaps as in adolescence, in our teenage years, we might also have a dream. I'd like to blank someday, right? And then those can get squashed, or they just get lost for some way. I'm just curious, here we are adults. What are some of the biggest speed bumps that we run into to have an extraordinary life that you've probably seen in a lot of your clients?
Sure. I think it's letting the urgency of the moment getting in the way. It's also lack of belief. Somehow when we're young, we think, we can be the president of the United States. We can be an astronaut. We can be and do anything. But somehow as we get older, when we have the money, we have the knowledge, we know the people, we start thinking we can't do these things. And so there's a lot of messages that I've had to overcome, that people I've worked with have to overcome, that I'm not enough, I don't have enough, I don't do enough. And so it's that belief in ourselves and our choices. Another speed bump, not writing down your dreams and goals. So if you write them down, you can't forget them. And I promise you, if you write down your dreams, the universe will start working on those for you. You will start taking action.
And why is that, Linda? Why is the writing down so powerful? Because even if I think it, I know it, I can say, oh, but I know what they are. So what's the extra power of writing it down?
The extra power of writing it down is that writing crystallizes thought.
Okay.
And the more clear your thought is, the more clear you can see it in your mind. And a lot of research on athletes, for example, show that the mind doesn't know the difference between actually doing something and seeing it in your mind. Sure, practice itself helps, but seeing it in your mind makes the performance even better. And so seeing it in your mind, writing it down, seeing it in your mind, and focusing on it helps you to remember that. And so did that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes me, it's the crystallizing in your mind. And then you were basically talking about visualization. So once you crystallize it, imagining that again and again, which is the end result you're imagining, not all the steps to get there necessarily, but the end result. And I think sometimes our goals are the steps to get there, which can be appropriate, but sometimes it's like, what's the vision? That's why I love that you say, envision your extraordinary life. You kind of go, where do I really want to go? Not how do I get there, but what does it look like at the end?
Exactly. Exactly. What does it look like? And also, what do you feel like when you're having it? So, sometimes we have these thoughts that contradict what it is that we envision. So, for example, I might think to have wealth, I need to be struggling to work really, really hard and working 80 hours a week and so forth. But that isn't true. So when I look at wealth coming in, I'm seeing myself as calm, open, receptive, grateful.
I'm also thinking about the gals listening who are older. They're like past the kiddos crunch, right? They don't have the little ones necessarily in the house, or maybe even they don't have any kids in the house anymore. They're not quite ready for retirement. Maybe some of, they're not quite ready. Maybe they've done it somewhat. Maybe they're part retired, but they're weary also. And they're wondering from these last few years if an extraordinary life is still possible. What would you say to her of why it's worth envisioning an extraordinary life?
You are worth it. You deserve it. You deserve to have this vitality of living. Now, we all know people who are 50 years old and they act like they're 100. They have no interest, no excitement or enthusiasm or vitality. And then we know people who are 80 who are, seem to get younger every year.
Right. Oh my gosh. There's a gal on Instagram, Train with Joan. And I looked her up because a younger gal said, you got to check her out. She's 80 now. And I think starting somewhere in her 70s, she, at the urging of her daughter, who did a lot of fitness training and nutrition stuff, said, Mom, do this with me. You're not too old. And I look at these pictures, these videos that Train with Joan does, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, she looks younger than I do at 80. She emanates that she feels that way. And I go, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. Now, I could say I'd like to look like she looks and feel as strong, but more than that, it's what happened between her ears and in her heart for that to happen.
Yes.
And that's really because actually she's got blonde hair. She's taller than I am. I ain't ever going to look like her. Okay. That's just not going to happen but my gene pool. But I could feel that way. And the thing that I love is that you've guided tons of people through this. I mean, it's really a transformation to go from ordinary to extraordinary. And you've guided them through that journey. And this is what I love. I would love for you to be our tour guide right now and share what each stage looks like.
Well, first of all, we're going on this journey. It's important to prepare for the journey. So my husband and I just got back from 7 weeks in Europe.
Oh, nice.
And there was a lot of preparation in that. Now, the kind of preparation for this transformational journey is think about your strengths. Write down, what are your strengths? What are your past successes?
Ooh.
And who is going to be on that journey to support you? So automatically, when we think of our successes, most people feel this, their shoulders going back, they're sitting up more straight, right?
Mm-hmm.
The first stage of the journey is exploring. And that's when you call forth your creativity and you direct that inner critic to step aside and you consider all your dreams and the possibilities for you of who you want to be, where you want to go. So maybe you're flipping through a magazine and you see this beautiful sunny beach in northern Spain and you say, I want to go there. Write that down. That's a dream. Maybe you see, oh, well, I'm talking to Mary Foley and she has a podcast. I could learn more from her. I'm going to write that down. I want to learn more about Mary, more from Mary. Whatever your dreams are, I urge people to write down 100 dreams. So I have a monthly visionary women's mastermind group in which we support one another for 2 hours a month, not much time. And my first assignment to them is write down 100 dreams. And, people say, oh, I can't do that. That's impossible. Well, I have been writing down my dreams since 1979. And so I already have a whole bunch, but I wrote down 100 more. It is possible. And so I know some people, like Liza, my friend Liza, who was in my first group over 30 years ago, she remembered through this process that she had always wanted to be a writer. In fact, she had posters in her bedroom. She made little books, and she had a picture of a dog with a pen in his mouth, all things writing that celebrated writing. But somehow over the years, her dream got dimmer and dimmer, and she forgot. And through this process, she decided she wanted to be a writer and to write middle school books, and she did that. So the next phase, once you do that, and these phases are iterative, so we'll return to them. So we're constantly dreaming, and because it's a dream, doesn't mean that we make it a goal.
Okay,
it could just be a dream.
I was wondering, because the inner critic can really show up at this point. Oh, you shouldn't have that dream. Or, we go back to our childhood maybe in this process, because I'm thinking 100. I'm like you. I'm like those gals who said, I don't have 100, but maybe I do. So, maybe the first 20 go easy, but then the next 80, not so much. But I might go back to my childhood and go, it'd be wonderful if this happened or had this happen. Just because we write them down, though, and put them on the list, do we have the pressure for them to come true, quote unquote? No. Okay.
No.
Okay. So this is like a brainstorming, almost like a brain dumping process, right?
This is just like a brain dumping process. That's right.
Okay. Got it.
And then we start to form a picture in our mind, a vision, if you will, of who we want to be and what we want to be doing. So when I was 20, my husband and I were sitting at a dock on Sacandaga Lake in the Adirondacks, and we were just saying, what we wanted. I said, I'm going to be a business consultant and travel all over the world. And he said, well, we'll travel together around the world. And I'll stay home with the kids. Oh, we'll have beautiful, smart children. And we'll buy an old house and fix it up. I'm going to help. I said, I want to help women, work with women in groups, and I want to be able to get grants. None of this was true at the time. In fact, we didn't know the difference between joint compound and sheetrock, as far as fixing up a house, and all and more came true. So,
wow.
We set these dreams, wrote them down, created a picture. So write down your dreams.
So then what is the next stage?
So the next stage is building a foundation. So the dreams are kind of out there. And now what's going to help us to really realize those dreams that are important is to identify our values, our mission for life, our purpose, and our priorities. And all this takes time as well and takes some deep thinking. I mean, for some people, it just comes about in a flash. For example, I interviewed the 2-term mayor of Detroit, Dennis Archer, a remarkable man. And when he was growing up, he lived in a house with a dirt floor and outdoor plumbing. And his family would take the monthly trip, like a 10-mile round trip to his barber. And he remembered once when he was about 10 years old, the barber saying, "You're special. You're going to help a lot of people."
Oh, wow. What a wonderful thing to hear as a 10-year-old. Yeah.
And that became his purpose.
Mm.
So everything he did, he went to school to be a teacher so he could help people. Then he saw, oh, well, principal, I'm going to be able to help a lot more people. He became a principal. Then he met a woman who became his wife, who was his teacher in grad school, who said, he was arguing with her about the textbook. He didn't want to use the same textbook that he already had in undergrad school. And she said, "You should be a lawyer." He said, "I don't know any lawyers. I don't even know what a lawyer does. I never even met a lawyer." And he went on to become a lawyer, a judge, and then a two-term mayor, the first African American president of the U.S. Bar Association, all by that purpose of wanting to help people. And so for me, my mission is to enable individuals and organizations to create and implement a compelling vision for their future. And I just had this. I know when I'm in front of a group, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh yeah, that's supposed to be doing feeling like everything is just synchronizing. And you're getting the feedback and you're feeling in the groove, and it's not about ego. It's just about almost this transference. I mean, that's a magical place.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes.
If we can't articulate it right now, does that mean we don't have one, or does it just mean we haven't? It's there, but we just haven't been able to put words to it and get clarity about it.
Yes, it means you just need some clarity around it. And it can be simple. It can be to create a loving community.
I can tell from this process already, right? Exploring, building a foundation, that you got to do these in a particular order because they do kind of seem to, quote, build on one another, or one
They
or
do.
naturally leads to another.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. All right. So at this point, we've been exploring all kinds of dreams and possibilities. We've been building a foundation, really kind of exploring and getting clarity on our mission, vision, purpose, priorities. And then, but now we want to okay, but how do I get there? How do I still get there? Right? Mm-hmm. But I will say that as a doer and as an action-oriented person, I can jump to the how and the steps sometimes too quickly. But I also know that you don't really get from where you are to where you want to be without steps and without action, right? But I don't want to take steps that don't make a difference. I mean, I only got so much time in the day. So,
and that's why it's important to establish your priorities. What's most important to you?
Yeah, because it can filter that out. Okay, so where do we go from building a foundation after that step?
We're going to chart a course.
Excellent.
So we're going to map out where we're going to go. So in our trip in Europe, we mapped out our trip along the Mediterranean, so that we would be usually, not always, about a 3-hour drive from one place to the other.
So you got real specific is what happened, right? You said,
yes, you have to get real specific.
How do I get there? Right. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've done a lot of research and goal setting. In fact, that's what my master's thesis was on. And it's proven that there are some characteristics of goals that will help your goal setting really get you to where you want to go. And that is that the goal has to be specific. I think everybody's heard about SMART goals. So specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, realistic. So I could run a marathon, but it's not realistic to think that I can do it in a 6-minute mile pace. Not realistic for me. And you need a target date.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a target date is incredibly important because that's, like the person who crams for exams because they have that exam tomorrow. So there's a lot more about goal setting in my book and a goal worksheet that people can fill out that helps. For example, looking at what are the obstacles. So if this is what I really want, why haven't I already achieved it?
Good question.
And then you think of, I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I don't, all the excuses come up, right? And so then we work to how can we overcome those excuses? And so one woman, I'll call her D, was in our women's mastermind group. And the thing that she was working on, she wanted to get out of debt. And so she wrote down how much she needed, how she was going to pay it off, what she was going to do. She wrote out the goal sheets. And as she's doing it and she's making progress, her self-esteem is increasing. She's becoming more confident. And this spills over to other areas, to her work life, because now she's feeling more empowered that she can do more. And so she, in fact, not only got out of debt, she lost 30 pounds and she got a promotion at work.
Wow. And that's a great example. I love that story because that's the cool part of having an extraordinary life. Going back to that is that it's maybe one area that you're really focused on and you're creating this transformational journey purposely for yourself. Mm-hmm. But it just does end up impacting other areas. And the idea of confidence, so many women say, I want to feel more confident. And I've done some study on confidence as well. And I've come down to, okay, it pretty much comes down to this. You have to do stuff that you care about. That's outside your comfort zone. And then you have to realize that you made some progress or you learned something. It's not perfect, but that's not the point. Then you go, oh, look, I didn't totally fall apart. I made some forward progress. That feels pretty good. Okay, so let me make some more forward progress. That's the only way you feel more confident, right? It just, but when you feel confident in one area, you start going, well, I did it here. I could do it somewhere else. And I think that's where that, going back to your description of an extraordinary life where there's something evolving, there's joy, there's like people have a purpose, there's so much new, exciting things happening, just starts to really unfold. Yes. Once that first one is you've made forward progress on, that's where the multiplying effect seems to happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the next stage is embracing the journey. So imagine you have 2 suitcases. Okay. We're on a journey and you see a friend you haven't seen in a long time. Let's imagine that one of those suitcases is your past regrets, resentments, those things weighing you down.
Truly baggage.
Truly baggage.
Yeah,
yes.
Right.
And in the other suitcase, all your fears and hopes about tomorrow. In order to embrace your friend, you're going to have to let go of both of those and just be in the moment. And so in working through your dreams and your goals, I encourage people to have a vision in your mind about who you want to be, where you want to be, what you want to be doing, the ideal you, and then live in the present. So you've taken the steps, you've set goals, so now let go.
Now that's hard to do though, after you've been so intentional, maybe even disciplined. Is
Mm.
it hard to do? A strategy or something that can help us to let go more without feeling like I'm losing control? Because I think that's the thing of, well, but I'm on this path and I don't want to deviate from it, and I might mess things up.
Well, we come across obstacles. And so that's where it hurts first, right? And we want to let go of those. So it could be obstacles in terms of our thinking about I'm not enough, I don't have enough, I don't do enough, I don't deserve this, I'm not ready for this. I can't do this. No one in my family has ever gone to college, or no one in my family has ever owned their own business. Let me tell you another example. Paulette. So I met her in Albany, New York. She's Swiss, and she had a dream that she just wanted to move to an apartment that was in the mountains, like her hometown of Bern, Switzerland. And there are these mountains called the Helderbergs in Albany, and she's listening to her intuition. So what happens as after you've embraced the journey is you're letting your intuition guide you more and more, and you're really mastering your life. She said, I found the perfect place. I'm going to go out and look at it today. It looks like it's a perfect place. She envisioned a place with a lake in the mountains, and she called me and she said, okay, I saw the place. It's in the mountains, but there's no lake. But I know this is the place for me. And I said, trust your intuition. And she went to pick up the key. The owner's house was on a path behind hers. And as she's taking the path, there's a lake.
Oh my God.
In the woods. Furthermore, the man said there's a community lake that's even bigger, that you can swim in.
It kind of never ends, right? Because our lives keep changing. There's different seasons, there's different chapters, there's just different stages.
That's right. That's right. And I have the last phase is breaking through to success. So there actually isn't one point where you break through. But we have that feeling of breaking through the door, realizing it's only tissue paper, and becoming who we truly wanted to be. And, the world is waiting for us, and for the gifts that only you can provide. So yeah, I encourage everyone to go on this journey, to write down your dreams, to read my book, Envision Your Extraordinary Life. And absolutely. I have guided imageries on YouTube on the channels in Envision Your Life. And so they're about, I have 21 guided imageries. I believe about 15 of them are up now. So there are ones on dreaming, there are ones on letting go of, and those improving your health. There's one on forgiveness on the park bench, which is one of the obstacles that holds a lot of people back. It is not forgiving others.
A big part of letting go, right?
It is a big part of letting go. And so I know everyone listening deserves to have an extraordinary life and to realize your inner power and vitality and joy.
I love that. Well, I'll make sure to put the link to your YouTube channel that has all of these visioning exercises and to listen to in the show notes. All right. But I know that you mentioned it was YouTube channel is called Envision Your Life, which makes sense because that's the name of your book and that's the name of the focus of everything. This is great. So see, we got the tour. And that's what we need to understand. I know that on the Live Like Your Nail Color podcast, I've had some conversations with some women through their own transformational journey and their lessons learned. And it's so helpful to hear other people's journeys, because we can often see ourselves in parts of that and get reminded that it's possible, right? Because even if you've done some cool things in the past, it's that the encouragement to keep going. And so that's why I loved I love your book, and I love that you kind of map it out so we could see, well, where am I in this? Am I exploring stage? Am I in the building the foundation stage, charting a course stage, embracing the journey? Am I actually at, like, I think I'm at mastering my life and I'm breaking through to success? And obviously it's not a linear process, is it? You'd mentioned
It
before,
is not a linear process, right?
Yeah.
And
So,
like you said, it is helpful to hear other people's journeys. And that's why your podcast is so powerful. And that's also why it's so important for women to get together,
right,
and to go on this journey together, because we can challenge and encourage one another.
But I want to come back to nail color for a moment, if you'll just engage with me for a second. If you could create a nail color to inspire us to envision and to create that extraordinary life, what would that be? What would the name?
Well, I came up with two. Okay. So the first one is empowered passion.
Oh, okay.
So you need to have passion in order for something, in order to come up with dreams, right?
Yep.
Some inner feeling. And then you need to be empowered to pursue them. And then the other is the ideal you.
The ideal you. Wow. I love that one. And so that one is to just embrace there could be an ideal you, and what that might be. It almost is like a prompt, right? At the end of our fingers and toes. Who's the ideal you?
Yes. Who is the ideal you?
Mm-hmm. And we get to answer that question.
Who is waiting to emerge?
That's right. Linda, this has been great. I so appreciate you being our tour guide on what stages are in the extraordinary life. I love that you do a deeper dive in your book as well. I know that there are those who may want to follow up with you or reach out to you. In addition to your website and your YouTube channel, is there another way or that they can be in touch with you?
Sure. I have an email address.
Okay.
linda.hogan@envisionyourlife.coach.
Okay. Great. I'll make sure and put that in your show notes as well.
I would welcome any questions or discussion.
That would be great. Thank you so much for your time today and the timeliness of this topic, that as we think about 2023, as we think ahead, if someone might be listening to this a year from now, thinking in 2024, it really is just like the future. What do you want your extraordinary life to become from this point forward? Thank you for that gift. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mary.
And now for the after party I call Flip the Chip, where I take a few minutes to highlight something my gal pal shared that can help us all flip a challenge or a difficulty that's holding us back into something more positive that helps us move forward. What I want to highlight today is one of the big speed bumps to an extraordinary life that Linda shared. The belief that the extraordinary life isn't for you because you aren't enough. You don't have enough, or you can't do enough. My experience is that these beliefs are rooted in fear from past experiences and painful memories. They seem to be our friends to keep us safe and emotionally secure. What they really do is rob us of our future. That's why I love Linda's starting point of creating an extraordinary life by exploring your dreams and desires for your future. I suggest you challenge yourself to make a list numbered 1 to 100 and write down 100 of your dreams, small, medium, or large, from your childhood, your early adulthood, or your current age and stage. Write them down because, as Linda shared, by writing them down, you are crystallizing your thoughts and making your dreams specific, real, and memorable. There's no expectation that you must do them all, but your dreams go from roaming around in your head to helping you create a vision of who you want to be and what you want to be doing going forward. Once you have 100 dreams and desires written down, notice the themes. Can you categorize them in groups? What does that say about you? Do you notice any area of your life that's completely missing? Why is that? I took the challenge myself and easily wrote down the first 17. Then I felt stuck, but I kept at it. And a few more came to mind. Still, I have a ways to go. So I decided to put the list down for now and start noticing what inspires me or comes to mind. I'm so dang curious what will happen. I feel like I'm not just exploring my dreams, I'm discovering them. I'm feeling a little more extra already, and no doubt you will too. Of course, you can use your nail color to cheer you on by simply putting on a new nail color and giving it the name Empowered Passion or the Ideal You, as Linda suggested. So that every time you see your fingers or toes, you're reminded that you can envision and create your extraordinary life. You can make good choices to create the career, business, and life you want, one step, one nail color at a time. Look forward to being with you next time on the Live Like Your Nail Color podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Live Like Your Nail Color podcast. Ready to live and laugh more? Know a friend who could use some of that too? Then subscribe at livelikeyournailcolor.com or your favorite podcast app and share this episode right now with the person who popped into your mind. Together, let's flip the chip to be stronger, smarter, and happier.